And now, as promised, go for great Terrance Campbell. He spent a lot of time with Marion Barber. I remember those two coming in as freshmen. Let's just say that freshman class was one to be remembered just because of the pranks, the things we did to him. So as I bring Terrance Campbell onto the show, Terrance, man, I want to thank you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show, man. Terrance, I don't know if you were part of this group that it was kind of like hazing, but I wouldn't call it hazing because the freshmen stole I think it was either Tellus Redmond or Jack Brewer's truck. So they stole his truck. They were putting signs from the election onto the back of his car. We ended up having Matt Baz handcuffed in the bathroom. I mean, it was like an epic summer with you guys, man. But I'll never forget just seeing you guys coming in bright eyed and then actually contributing on special teams, actually being a part of the locker room, like gelling right away. And you were one of those guys, man. Jared Ellerson, Jakari Wallace. But Terrance, as we're talking about the current Gopher program, as an alumni, when you first heard Roll the Boat, what did you think then and what do you think now?
Man, when I first heard it, I didn't know what to think. You know what I mean? It was similar, back when I was playing. Coach Hudson was our D coordinator, and we used the phrase "burn the boats." So he gave us the whole history lesson on the burn the boats. So when I heard "row the boat," that's first thing I thought it was, man, they saying it wrong. And then so I did a little research, and then I figured out, I learned coach lost a child, and then what it meant to him, and so it kind of stuck with me. I find myself saying "row the boat," when I get in a position, I feel stuck. I just you just if you row, you're gonna keep going. As long as you keep rowing, you're gonna keep going. That's what it means to me.
Man, you put it perfectly, man. I wish more people you're a smart guy, man. Like for those that don't know, man, Terrance Campbell is killing it in Texas. I mean, if you haven't seen his freestyle, I mean, he's done some stuff for Ella DeGeneres. He's freestyling for car dealerships because he's a marketing director, but now he's doing real estate. He's rapping to sell houses as well. Like it's just his marketing thing to gain that interest, man. And I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I checked you out at first. I was like, man, this dude can't rap. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this actually guy's like putting it down. So I gotta tip my hat to you on that. But from the Atlanta area, Big Boy, Andre 3000, rap is big. Georgia Tech, Georgia, all those schools in Atlanta. Why Minnesota? When you got recruited by Minnesota.
Man, honestly, it was one of those things where I was just being coachable. Um, and so my head coach at the time, he gave us all, the if you get an offer, take it. He gave us that speech, and I'm the oldest child in my family, no cousins, no uncles. My dad didn't play sports, so I'm like the guinea pig. I'm learning, so nobody can really give me any guidance aside from my coach. So the first visit I went on was to Minnesota. The first offer I got was from Minnesota. I accepted it. It was a Big Ten. I had a couple of one double A offers, few of them, but Big Ten. You get to play on TV, and then but that's how ultimately I didn't want to go to Minnesota from Atlanta. No shade to Minnesota, but I mean it was my visit. It was maybe like 6, 7 inches of snow, and I was like, oh my god. But they offered me, so being coachable, I accepted. But it ended up turning to be a great time, man. Great time. I'm glad I did go to Minnesota.
Yeah, man, and being coachable is part of the that's what Coach Fleck always talks about, man. Being able to be molded, evolve within the system, be coachable, and you definitely were one. Um, Looking at this your time there, in Minnesota, and I remember my memories. I had Ron Dane on the show, former Badgers running back. I played him twice. My freshman year, my sophomore year. So we talked about a lot of memories there. Iowa, same thing. But what are some of your memories? Playing against Wisconsin and Iowa.
My biggest memory against Wisconsin was that walk-off field goal by Reese Lloyd. We was down bad. Like I don't even think we had the axe prior to Reese um, Lloyd making that kick. So that was my biggest Wisconsin memory, aside from my first time playing at the stadium in Madison. and they was, the whole stadium was doing that jump around thing.
Yep.
Um, but that was Wisconsin. My biggest memory between the two is from Iowa. Two of them actually. My freshman year, maybe sophomore year. One of those years, I got my ankles broken by Brad Banks, the quarterback. So that was a big memory. And then I redeemed myself a year later though down in Iowa because I got a sack against Robert Gallery, who ended up being like first or second pick to the Raiders.
Yep.
But I got a sack against him, and then I did the A-Town stomp. So those but those are my biggest Iowa memories right there.
Not the ankles broke. At least you didn't get hurt, man. Because Aston Osai, he got his legs got taken from him from Antoine Randall. And I'll never forget he tore his ACL. So
Oh
at least you was able to like walk away from that one and then come
yeah.
back. But and as we know, man, like it's tough to talk, but you have to do it as men sometimes, man. I think we don't share it enough with each other. I think we don't bring it up, especially in the Black community, man. Like when somebody dies or when something tough happens, we tend to just ignore it, and Marion Barber recently passed. His memorial's coming up June 22nd. And so when you think about that, like I had my memories of Marion. We had Dale Reed on, Tony Patterson, a bunch of guys have come on the show and they've shared. What is your memory? Because you spent a lot of time with Marion in your time at Minnesota because you guys came in together.
Yeah. Man, I got a ton of memories. I'll share a few pretty short. So I got one when I first discovered, my music stuff. I wasn't as good as I am now. But we had a setup and we used to make it was me and Marion, and it was I think it was Pierre Jackson. So we was like, this is around the time when 50 Cent started. So G Unit. So I forget the name what we called our group, but we was a group, me, Marion, and Pierre, and then Jakari and two other people was G Unit. So we'd make diss tracks against each other. Like we was like real deal beefing, fake beefing, but So that was one thing. And then I'm gonna say my when I really realized Marion was MB was in practice, like we had a battles, but it was always on, because I play linebacker. It was most of the time we made contact, it was on an angle.
Yeah.
Well, this particular day, I forget the name. It was like a little misdirection play, so I took the wrong step and my feet got crossed.
Yep.
And it was like by the time my feet were crossed, it was Marion was like right there. So I still tried to wrap up, and then we made contact, and then next thing I know, one of my teammates was coming to check me out, and because the coach wanted to make sure I was still good. So that was like, oh yeah, Marion is MB. Yes, it's a grown man right there, man. So that, those are my two. I got another. I can't share that on air. It's locker room talk, but that's a good dude, man.
Yeah, man, it's something you can't share. I know, because I know we were me and Daryl Reed, a couple other guys, Tony Pastor, we talk about Greg White, Styles G. White, and some of the weird stuff he used to do. I mean, you were there for some of it, like some of the stuff he would do in the locker room. So yeah, man, some stuff. Let's just say we saw some Skittles, and then we didn't see him no more. We was like, man, what is this guy over here doing, man? Like, so but last one, man, before I let you get out of here, man. As a man, as you grow and you look at your time, your time in Minnesota, your time now in the business world, I see you doing great things out there, man, continuing to, level up every time you feel like you can get better, you do something else and you're like, what, I can challenge myself to do this. If you can give advice, because you're looking at now kids getting NILs, in high school now coming to college and then, making the right decisions in college. If they're not going to make it to the NFL, what's the next step? What's some advice you can give some of these young players, in their ventures from college to real world life?
Oh man, well, I'm gonna tell all kids the same thing. I got a daughter; she's a sophomore. My oldest child is a sophomore. I tell her make sure you invest your time. If it's an elective, if it's a requirement, make sure you study economics and pay attention. Like probably the most underrated and the most important class or course you will ever experience in all education is going to be economics. If you can just take that to heart and apply that knowledge that you get in economics to real life, you're going to be great.
Yeah, man. And then, you know, I got to throw one more at you. You know, like any coach, you say you got 16 110s. Hey, get back on the line. You got one more.
Yeah.
Uh, looking at, you know, Gophers not having to really break down rosters, who they have, who Wisconsin has, who Iowa has, from a mindset, you know, because when you go into those Iowa Wisconsin battles, man, it's just a mindset. It doesn't matter what your record is, who's on what side of the, you know, what's a mindset the Gopher players need to have this year, thinking that because people are saying they can win the West. And to win the West, they have to beat Iowa, Wisconsin. So what's a mindset these players can take into this 22 season, knowing that if they beat Wisconsin and Iowa, they're probably Big Ten West champs?
Well, I think it starts on an individual level. I think if every individual person shows up and say that I'm going to beat my man, like my
Mm-hmm.
man is not going to beat me. It don't matter who the team is. I mean, you look at when my 4 years, we beat Alabama,
Yeah.
we beat Oregon, who
Yep.
was and we beat Arkansas. These was two SEC teams and a Pac-10 team that was run through people,
Yeah.
because we had the mentality. And I think like a lot of guys, especially in Minnesota, like when you already going to Minnesota, you're underdog. It
Yep.
don't matter. Like you the underdog. So if you take that underdog mentality into the game, like my man is not gonna beat me, and one of y'all got to win. That means you win. And
Yeah.
if you take that mentality, the team gonna win. That's just what it boils down to.